in my phone.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It did.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
It did, Ron. It did. Happy Thursday. What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the King's Court. We'll be here.
Order in the court.
About 45 minutes to an hour, or until my coffee cools down. Much needed coffee today. Got my first taste of what it's going to be like for 41 games here in Sacramento with my new roles and responsibilities, which are a dream. I am not complaining one bit. Just means we're going to bump up the coffee intake a little bit. Kings will be back at it. In fact, they are at it right now between film and practice. We will be down with coverage at the G1C at 12:30. See what Doug and the rest of the team will get to talk to guys. Wonder who it's going to be. We talked to Neek and Keegan yesterday. Domas last night at the podium. Max at the podium. You're probably going to get Dennis and Malik. Dennis and Malik. Maybe. We'll see. Before we get into the Kings, though, I was getting ready. I was making sure, because I got my routine now pretty much intact. And I was doing my grooming, right? And this question came to my mind, and it's always a polarizing question when it asks. And I apologize to any of the ladies out there, because it doesn't really apply to you. You can maybe apply it to like your legs and stuff, but whenever I ask somebody, because it's never in the middle, if you're a guy that has to shave every day, sometimes it gets a little annoying. Your skin gets a little bit I don't know, sensitive, whatever you want to say. But on the flip side, you can usually grow a full beard. So that's the trade-off. You can have the beard, but you got to do some maintenance every single day. Hold on. You know what? I'm going to do this on air. These people have been calling me nonstop. Can you please quit calling this number? You call every day from different numbers. And there's nobody there. Unbelievable. All right. Crazy. Anyways, so if you shave, you can usually grow a full beard if you're an everyday shaver. However, there's those that don't have to shave every day. It's like once a week. What a pleasure. But they're usually the ones that can't grow the beards. And it turns into a funny conversation, because it's, which one would you rather have? If you're a guy, like, do you want to keep it your way? If you're shaving every day? If you don't shave every day and you want a beard? Is that okay? Like, it's just one of those things. This is your team. It is your team. Kind of. It's the same team. All right, now we're rushing to judgment after one game. I will meet you in the middle with some of the things, and we'll listen to Doug last night. I'll meet you in the middle with certain things that are being asked that I don't think are realistic. I don't. At least not with what we've seen from this group. Now, could you get somewhere in the ballpark doing it at a more realistic, I guess, clip than what Doug's asking for? Maybe. Last night, what troubled me the most was the basketball IQ. The basketball IQ, I thought, would be up immensely from the starters. I hated, let me repeat, I hated that Dennis Schroeder's first 2 shots were 3-pointers. That's what gave me heartburn. Move the ball. Now, the ball was moving, guys were cutting within the starting unit, but the ball was just moving around the top of the perimeter for the most part. And again, first game of the preseason, you can't put all the weight in the world on it, but it is the only thing you have to look at right now. And there were some bright spots last night. There definitely were that we will get to. The fourth quarter, that was a very big bright spot. You have something, I think, and I said this yesterday, and I texted it out as well, or tweeted it out. This chemistry between Neek and Max, it's there. It's a legit chemistry, but it's not going to grow overnight. It's not one of those things that is going to be immediate because those guys aren't always going to be on the court together. But when you give them a little bit of extended run, you can just see how much they really get the game. They see the floor. Some of the cuts, like not even the high flying dunks, stuff like that, the cuts, knowing where your teammates are at, knowing where to put the ball. So many times last year, that's a bounce pass. Instead, we're throwing it at the rim in the fourth quarter. Really like that. Neek finished with 9 assists, 7 in the fourth quarter. His assist to turnover ratio, 7 assists, 0 turnovers in the fourth quarter. So if I'm going to start with Neek, Neek looked really smooth. It took him a little bit of time to get comfortable and get into the game. He looked good. Zach LaVine, offensively, looked very comfortable. I was good with what he did. He looked more comfortable than last year. Defense, we'll get there. We'll go across the board. Keegan Murray, like the aggressiveness. Those shots will fall, especially in the lane. They'll fall. And by the way, did anybody catch that Zach LaVine actually got a couple of foul calls? How about that? Domantas Sabonis, 19, led the Kings in points. Little bit more on the perimeter, less DHO. I'm not so sure, and I know Domas said he thought Toronto took the DHO away. I don't know that Toronto really took the DHO away. It didn't look like the Kings really tried to run it as much. Pick and rolls last night, much better. Guys were coming off of the screener's shoulder. Good with that. So there was some good in what we saw. Zach was not supposed, it was planned he was not going to play the second half. I don't know. I'm old school, so you can say it's not a big deal. I'm making, what's the saying? You're making an anthill out of a molehill. I don't know what the saying is. But I didn't like that he was in street clothes for the second half. Especially when you're one of the vets on this team, be in your uniform. Even if you're not going to be going back into the game, why at that point? Stay in your uniform. That just kind of bugged me on a personal level. I know it doesn't affect the game, but it kind of bugged me. So take that for what it is worth. The third quarter, let's talk about that. The Raptors had 4 team fouls at the 9:32 point in the third quarter. 9:32. By the 8-minute mark, the Raptors were in the penalty. That is when, especially for a team that wants to pick up 94 feet, that is when you have to attack the free throw line. You have to attack the paint. You have to attack the hoop. because every single foul was a trip to the free throw line. What did the Kings do? They shot threes. In one instance, Malik Monk, who did not look right in the first half to me, by the way. He looked very passive in the first half. Picked up a little bit in the second half, but you have Malik Monk who shoots a three, it gets blocked. He doesn't get back defensively. They throw the home run pass, basket, and the foul. And at that point, the Kings were within, I believe, maybe that was in the second quarter. Okay. The lead was a little more extended, but that play that I just spoke about happened in the third quarter. But the Kings were starting to kind of look a little bit better there in the third. The first time that Dennis Schroeder really picked up 94 feet in the third quarter, he slipped, which meant somebody else had to come up, which meant another guy had to go over, which meant somebody was open in the corner. And that was the theme of last night. The Toronto Raptors, a poor 3-point, I'm not going to call them poor, an average, at best, 3-point shooting team came in and shot the lights out at the Golden One Center. Here's what it comes down to, and we're going to hear from Doug in a second. It is 100% keeping people in front of you. I went back and watched some of the film. Whoever is defending the ball, they're getting beat, which means another person's coming up to help, which means somebody down low is going to have to run out to the corner if the ball gets there, because that's where the open player is going to be. And if that shot's not taken, you just kick it to the guy that's at the free throw line extended beyond the arc, and he has an open shot. Doug talked about the importance of angles and closing out. The Kings really didn't even have an opportunity to close out. They were in full sprint because they were always in rotation because they were getting beat off the ball right off the bat. If the Kings cannot defend the basketball, it's going to be a long season. Because when you think about defending the basketball, that's what's picking up 94 feet. What's the point of picking up 94 feet if you're just going to get beat after 32 feet, which puts your team into rotation? So let's listen to Doug. And again, first preseason game. I am not putting a ton of weight into all of this. I'm not. You don't know what wrinkles they put in. You don't know what they didn't put in because they don't want to put it on tape. The rotation was interesting. It'll be, for me, something I'll be looking at on Friday against Portland if last night affects Doug's rotation tomorrow. Or did Doug have a plan all along for what he was going to do in game one with the rotation and already has a plan despite whatever happened in game one? He's going to stick to for game two. It was a little surprising Max Reynaud did not touch the floor until the fourth quarter. That was very surprising. By the time he had not touched the floor and the fourth quarter started, I thought there is no way, even if this is a 40, 50, 60-point game, that you're going to put Max in at this point. And Doug did. And it ended up working out. Max got pushed around a little bit defensively right off the bat, but then he got into the flow of the game and he played really well. He was able to play straight up. He plays with his head up offensively, and he made some beautiful passes. Had a couple good offensive rebounds and putbacks, got to the free throw line. Free throws, by the way, a problem for the Kings. I know the percentage ends at 75.7% last night, but when you had the starters in the first quarter, your free throw percentage was 60%. At halftime, free throw percentage 71.4%. It's got to be better. Here is Doug Christie last night after the game.
Usually when you play against a team that doesn't make three-pointers, they make three-pointers. So they made shots tonight. Watched them the other night. They didn't make shots. So that's no excuse. We got to make sure that we arrive on the catch. I thought, those are the building things. This was, in essence, a practice. So we have to go now, watch film, see, correct. You got to be accountable for what's on the film and what we're seeing and what we're doing. And all those guys want to be that. So that's not a problem at all. The problem is, it just doesn't feel good. Obviously, when you lose, I'm a poor sport, as you guys, I'm sure well know, but we'll keep working at it.
Max talked a little bit about maybe having already some pre-built chemistry with those guys there in the fourth quarter with summer league action. What did you think of the energy that they brought and kind of setting the tone there in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I mean, I expect that from them. Yeah, a little bit of that probably. There's a randomness with the summer league. They understand the next actions and all those different things, and they played Kings basketball identity-wise. That's what you saw, and that's what we expect.
What do you think of a lot of talk about picking up 94 feet coming into this? What do you think of the job they did, and how much do you expect that to have a learning curve as you guys implement that?
Whole team, starters, reserves?
Mainly starters in that first year.
They were in the first half 30%. So that's unacceptable, and we talked about it. 85 is the number. So that means.
Let's stop there really quick. So that's the first time we've gotten a number out of Doug, what the expectation is, what the ask is. He wants them to be picking up 85% of the time. Now, realize I am picking out the things, not so much from last night. And I think it's important that you listen to the things that Doug's looking for with expectations as we continue through the preseason and head to the opener on the 22nd against Phoenix. But in order to pick up the ball 94 feet, 85% of the time, meaning 85% of your opponent's possessions, you're going to be picking up the ball. You have to be making shots. You have to be getting to the free throw line. So if I'm looking at the first quarter, the Kings got to the free throw line 10 times. That was good. But it's all for nothing if you miss the second free throw. Because now you're in a live ball situation. It's a rebound. The Kings shot 27.3% from beyond the arc in the first quarter. 47.4% overall. By the way, Toronto, 80% in the first quarter from beyond the arc. And it wasn't on like 4 shots. They were 8 of 10 from beyond the arc. The Kings altogether in the first quarter got up 19 shots. 19 shots. So you're looking for, and okay, they made 9 of them. So if we have 9 makes and 6 made free throws, let's assume all 6 of those made free throws were the second free throw. That's 15 possessions. Doug wants them to be picking up 94 feet in the range of 12 of those 15 possessions. I don't know. Again, you can set goals. I love goals. I hope all of you set personal goals. I hope if you have children, you encourage them to set goals. But you also have to set realistic goals. 85% of the time does not seem realistic for this team. For two reasons. The first is the shooting. 27% from beyond the arc. The second, guys are getting beat. And we're not talking about, Steph Curry bringing the ball up. We're not talking about Giannis bringing the ball up. Talking about Emmanuel Quickly, Jamal Sheed. And the Kings were getting beat off the ball. So even if you do get picked, or you do hit your goal of 85%, almost how many times out of the 30% did they get beat on the ball, which put the team into rotation? So who are going to be the guys that can play that defense? But back to goals, I just think 80% or 85% is not realistic. I don't think that is a realistic standard or a goal. Tell me if you disagree. Doug again.
Means out of all the opportunities that you get, when someone turns around with the basketball, they know what you ate for breakfast.
Doug, can you, off the top of your head, name any specific instances where you saw that identity that you and Scott have talked so much about play out on the court tonight?
The starters, when they started to get back in the game right before the half ended, and then they went on a 9-0 run to end the half. Before that, there it was. And then that carried into the third quarter. So that was not it. But all of a sudden, those bench guys came in, and there it was again, identity. So, out of that whole game, you probably got Kings maybe 2 quarters, quarter and a half. I'll say a quarter and a half. So the consistency of what we expect needs to be able to be at a higher level for a longer period of time.
Coach Christie, it looked like there was some effort on those closeout on those threes, but what, from your perspective, how did you see that?
I think more than anything, like, you have to keep it's a lot easier when you keep the ball in front of you. When guys break you down, it causes help, which causes rotations. And if guys are making on time and on target passes, they see one bucket go in, and all of a sudden they gain confidence. Ever since that I've come back here, it's kind of been a story, but we're going to stop that story. That's not what we do. It's not what we're about. We have to find a way to contain the ball. Therefore, now my help doesn't need to be in the middle of the lane. Therefore, the corner three isn't open. Therefore, when I close to the corner three, I'm swinging to the high quad, and that guy's open. But if I keep the ball in front of me, now I can work my way out in the paint. I'm arriving on the catch, and we live to fight another day.
Doug, just kind of, you talked about a lot what you like, didn't like.
It's exactly what I just said. To a T. EMG. Thanks, Patrick, by the way, for checking in. Have a good rest of the day back at work. EMG. You know what, my man? Or gal. I'm sorry. Don't know if you're male or female. Doesn't matter. I respect that you're in sales. That is not an easy business to be in. What do you sell? I understand. I do understand about Scott. I actually had the same feeling after his first press conference. But we have to also keep in mind that the bar has been set relatively low for this year. This is a building year. This is about identifying who are the pieces that can be a foundation to start building on. And again, first preseason game, but I understand the concern that it looked the same, other than that fourth quarter, which was a lot of fun. The fourth quarter, cars. There you go. BJ, the link's in the chat if you would like to call. Selling cars, dude. Much respect. What do they call it? Is it an up when a customer comes in? You know what's so funny? When you go to buy a car, you either have like 2 or 3 sales, or even if you're not going to buy a car. If you're just going in to pick up a part, or you're just going in to look, you either have 2 or 3 salespeople sprinting at you, right? Because there's always the huddle of the salesmen and women in front of the dealership. You either get that or you get no one. Not the last car I bought, because it was the cleanest transaction ever. But the car before that, I had to seek somebody out. And I was like ready to go. Cash deal. I already know the car. Don't even need to drive it. I had to go find somebody. Why is that, EMG? Why is that? Arvin, what's up? Hardest sales job would be selling Kings season tickets after watching this defense. You could not sell this team to Kings fans? We're too smart for it? Dennis, I don't... Okay. I don't disagree with what you said about the IQ of Sacramento Kings fans. But I don't think they're trying to sell you anything like this team's going to be 50 wins. This team's going to be a 6 seed. You're not getting sold that. You're getting sold effort. You're getting sold physicality. You're getting sold relentlessness. And as long as you have those things, one, the fans will, I believe, and it's proof last night in the fourth quarter. It is proof. The fans will still support that because you saw it. Well, Dennis, dude, if you give them your number, what do you think they're going to do? They're salesmen. Come on. Come on, Dennis. Common sense. Back to Doug.
There was one thing you liked, one thing you didn't like, maybe what bothers you the most, whatever. What do you remember from this contest here?
It's a good question. I mean, like the low hanging fruit or the guys that went in, but I've talked to them about there's 2 games every night. There's the game and there's the fight. So we got 164 games. Okay. Every night we going to win one of them. If we win them both, we doing something. Tonight we lost them both. And I said, let that be the last time that we always going to win the fight. And unfortunately, and most people go, well, the last team came in. No, because we do it together. It's all of us. They came back and threw some punches, but it is a group effort from one to the end of the bench. And all the coaches and everybody on the staff and it's everybody. So unfortunately, we lost both of the games tonight. Unacceptable. And that will be hopefully the last time that happens. That was my conversation with them.
Doug, when you mentioned the 30% and the 85%, you're talking about the number or percentage of possessions where you actually pick up and okay.
Yeah. In the first half, they were at 30. The number that we won is 85%. So it's not perfect, but most times
It
we're
will
there,
be
we're picking up, they're
outstanding.
feeling us. They can't just straight line drive. They can't advance the ball up the floor. They're feeling us, and 30% is just it's not enough.
There was I thought at least one really good example in the first quarter where it disrupted and you guys came up with a steal. There was also a time or two where it looked like maybe guys were out of position and gave up an open three. Can that be a result of that? And is that an adjustment that has to be made?
Well, I think that's twofold, Jay. One is, you're out of position, but also there's a level of, the three pillars on defense is we make them feel us, we communicate, and we compete. Okay. So competing is extra effort, is multiple efforts on the floor, but communication is a huge one. And I think if I go back and look at the film, I think some of that is communication, is like, who do you have? Because in transition, I don't have my man, I have a man. So we have to make sure that who has the ball, this guy is the one who has the ball. That's what it looked like. I got the ball. Now everybody else is building walls and big and making sure there's no straight line drives. And the guy who have the ball, that might not be his man. We're in transition. Now, when we get to the free throw line, when we make a bucket, now we can get our defense set. When we get our defense set, well, now I got my man, and we can play from there.
With Neek, you had him start the second half in Zach's spot. Just curious what you saw from him with the starters and what you liked, maybe particularly about his decision-making and playmaking in the fourth quarter as a passer.
Yeah, Neek is extremely talented, just incredible upside. I think that he got better as he got a little bit more comfortable out there on the floor, which, being a young player is just kind of how it goes. He's going to have ups and downs and different things, but he does so many different things. Like he got in there and got a rebound. He got assists. He can run a pick and roll. He can shoot an open shot. He can create his own shot. He defends at a high level. He's still a little jumpy on the defensive end, so that gets him in trouble. But when you affect the game in that many different ways, you find your way onto the floor. So extremely happy for him to get out there and start to.
What Doug just said, it's what we've been kind of saying on the radio. Neek's going to play 20 or more minutes a game. He just will. Now, when it comes to the rotation, and by the way, great job by EMG. That's why EMG got the dandy.
It will be a dandy.
I just thought maybe with Doug things would be different, but so far it feels the same as last year. Okay, I'm not going to say it feels the same as last year. I completely disagree. I've been at every practice. I've been at shoot around. I was at the game last night. 36 minutes last night felt like last year. 36 minutes. Now, in camp, it's felt different. A lot of the things that they have been doing have looked much better. Now, granted, you're going against yourself. You've been going against yourself. We can't put the cart in front of the horse. This is one preseason game. Sure, I understand the concern. I get it. You got to give this team, you got to give Doug a chance. What if this thing flips on its head in Portland and you do see 80% of the time the ball being picked up and you see 3 balls going down? You just don't know yet. And this is why there's the preseason, and the preseason's been cut to 4 games. It used to be 8 games. So, in terms of the rotation, here's my surprises. I was not surprised Eubanks was in the rotation. I was surprised Eubanks was the first substitution because I did think he would be part of the 10. when we talked about it yesterday on Fox. Max surprised me that he did not touch the floor until the fourth quarter. In fact, your rotation went like this. It was Drew Eubanks, then it went to Keon Malik and Isaac Jones all at the same time. Isaac there surprised me as well. I thought, and I understand why Isaac got those minutes. And he didn't play a ton. I think, what was it, around 10 minutes. He didn't play a ton, but he played the more impactful minutes with the starters and more of the rotation players on the floor. Another guy you didn't see until late third quarter was Devin Carter. And back to the rotation after IJ, it was Neek. And then it stayed within that group until we got to the second half. So rotationally on Friday, tomorrow, I would not be surprised if you're going to see Dylan Cardwell get a look. There's been a lot of good things said about him in camp. If you haven't had the opportunity to see him in person, he has an impressive NBA physique. He's tall. He's not beef stew or anybody like that, but he's built well and he plays with an edge. There was a play last night where he went up for the rebound and he was not letting go of it. He ripped it so hard that he threw the other guy to the floor and they called a foul on the Toronto player. That brought the G1C to its feet. He also had a couple of really big dunks. He is or could be a wild card in this whole scenario. So will Doug give him some extra time, or is that extra time going to go to Max? Is Doug going to reduce IJ's minutes on Friday? We'll see. Will Doug do the same rotation? My observation watching the second unit was Keon Ellis, and Doug he didn't shrug it off when I asked the question a few days ago. But I did ask, I'm like, is Keon, because we asked Keon how his off the dribble three was coming along, because he was working on that over the summer. And he went away from that and went more to, I'm really focusing on making sure I know where everybody's supposed to be on the floor, making sure I got my teammates in their spots, making sure that, I'm getting everyone involved. He was talking like a point guard. And last night, more times than not, when him, Malik Monk, and Neat Clifford were on the floor, it was Keon bringing the ball up. So will it be the reverse come tomorrow night? Tomorrow night. Will you see a little bit more of Neek bringing the ball up? In a perfect world, I think what this coaching staff and front office are hoping for is that Neat Clifford can be your backup point guard and be a bigger guard. He can play all three of those positions on the perimeter. He needs some work bringing the ball up, handling the pressure. I mean, quite frankly, if you watch the entire game, the Raptors, who have not come out and said, we're going to, pick up every possession, the Raptors put better pressure more consistently on the ball all night. So how Doug will negotiate that? Does he stick with Eubanks? What do you think? I think there's a plan. I do think that despite what happened last night, whether it was good or bad, Doug was going to stick to a plan. And I think he probably will do the same for tomorrow, whatever that plan is right now on paper. Now, that can change during a game. But if he goes away from that, and maybe I'll ask Doug about that today. if he goes away from that, then those are the guys that I can see maybe getting some earlier looks or at least some run with the first unit. Dylan Cardwell, probably Max, and maybe a little less IJ. So, and if you look at the minutes distribution, let's go by the first half actually, because that's going to be the best to really gauge, because that's when Doug ran the tighter rotation. First half minute distribution, you got 15 for DeRozan, 17 for Keegan Murray. And by the way, I saw all the comments last night. Keegan Murray's trash, yada, yada, yada. Keegan Murray is an elite defender. His defense and now his ability to get beat sometimes and recover and still make the play at his size, y'all don't know how special this kid is defensively. This team is not, they are not good through one preseason game, and Keegan Murray is not the problem. He's not the problem. Domas, 15 minutes. Zach LaVine, 14. Schroeder, 16. I was so, again, and maybe we've overhyped this with Dennis Schroeder. I can deal with Dennis Schroeder being 0 for 4 from the floor. I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is 2 of those being 3-point attempts, especially when they're the first 2. And how about this? He didn't even have an assist in 16 minutes. Not a single assist. 1 turnover. Drew Eubanks played 8 minutes. Malik, 9 minutes. 6 for Isaac Jones. 8 for Keon. And basically 8 for Neek. So that was the 10-man rotation last night. If last night was a regular season game, that likely is the rotation Doug would have used. Don't be surprised if Dylan Cardwell does get a couple of those minutes next game. If Doug's going to change up the plan. We'll see. And he probably will. He's probably going to flip it with Max and Drew. That would be my guess. Or maybe even a mixture again of Dylan Cardwell. So we will see. And actually, Doug spoke so highly of Dylan Cardwell. Not only what he brings, which I've explained already, but his coachability. He gave us an example of that, which was really good. So we're going to get ready to wrap up here in a few minutes. Let's see. Arvin says, like the Doug says, all the right things, yet the starters can't guard a random bench guy. Yeah. Same stuff, y'all. Same stuff. Dennis, are you already drinking this morning? The starting lineup feels the same. Well, the starting lineup is this. Well, you got Dennis in there. Okay. I'm going to give you a break there. The Kings got pushed back last night. The offense was just pushed back, and it was too much around the perimeter. Now, I like the ball movement, but too much just swinging it around the perimeter. You need a little bit more. Too early for that. What's up, Charles? How you doing today? Olden Polonies, he was a beauty yesterday. That was such a great interview. Andrew really likes Max. Great energy. Yeah, Max played well last night. Doug Chris said the Kings didn't show any fight. Maybe a quarter and a half. Yeah. What do I think the problem is? It's not just one player. It's here's okay. That's a fair question. That's a very fair question. If we're going to stick to the starters, and I'm not going to say last night, like I'm not going to use last night specifically as an example, but what I am going to compare it to is what we've heard in terms of stylistically, how this team wants to play. So if that's how the Kings want to play right off the bat, and you're going to be picking up 80% of your possessions, which I think 80% is not realistic. I like it. I like setting goals. I think it's too high. It's just like when Doug said, and actually, I thought Doug would walk back the statement about Keegan shooting 10 threes a game. Nope, he said it again last night. In fact, let's listen to that. That is the last question, and then I'll finish my thought and we'll get out of here.
Figure it out, because it's going to be, there's a process that you got to go through. It's just part of what it is, and for him, it started tonight. So yeah.
Doug, Keegan's been challenged to be more aggressive. It seems like he took that challenge to heart in the first half with the blocks and attacking the basket. What did you make of just that first impression from him?
Yeah, I think Keegan is incredible ball. So 40% shooter. He's a knockdown shooter. Starting to, the reads of all the different things and the places that we put him, that's going to be a process. But from the standpoint of like grabbing rebounds and bringing it, he looked a little bit more comfortable doing that. Like defensively, some of the help defense and the block shots and different things, I was just like, wow. I mean, that's what we expect from Keegan Murray, and he does it at a high clip. So 4 3-pointers. Obviously, he only played 24 minutes, but I've told you guys I'd like to get that number close to 10. I want him hunting shots because he is that type of shooter. And then now he has the ability to pump fake and put it on the floor and get on the rim. And would like to see him at the free throw line. You got there 3 times. Okay, I'd like to double that. I'd like to get him there.
12 free throws and 6 to 8 threes seems more realistic to me for Keegan Murray. Dennis, this is your first warning. Okay. It's your first warning, man. I'm being serious, Dennis. I love you. I appreciate your passion. You're all in as a Kings fan, but I'm not going to have you up here in the Kings court disrespecting NBA head coaches. I'm not. I respect the hell out of Mike Bibby. He knows the game. Mike has been at training camp, watching practices, talking with Doug, talking with Bobby. I posted those things on X. But dude, don't come in here and disrespect head coaches like that in the NBA. Come on. Ask Mike Bibby what the Domas problem is. I need to ask a head coach. I get it's text. Maybe I'm taking the wrong tone, but I don't like that. I'm not going to allow that here. I'm not. Especially after one preseason game, Dennis. The Domas issue. Dennis, do you truly think in any world, professionally, Grant and I would have Mike Bibby on a radio station and ask him how to correct the Kings' problems, whatever they are? Not saying that Domas is one. You're getting ahead of your skis, man. Most times, you make the show better. It's one preseason game. And by the way, Dennis, Domas was 4 of 7 in the first quarter. Come on. Dude, I'm warning you because that will get you blocked. by Grant. I'm not going to block you. Okay, he wants to answer to it. Dennis.
Yo.
Yo.
No, my question is, I just would like to get an opinion from a head coach, not named Doug, about, the issue we see with Domas where they just bring him out to the 3-point line, switch him off, and then have him, guard the driver, which always fails us. And I see that happen so commonly. And I just wanted to see if we need to go in the zone when that switch comes, or we got to attack that switch differently because they just pick us apart. And I just want to know if there's something else we could do, or if we have to go to zone right away when that switch comes, or if we got to attack the switch another way. That's all I was saying. I don't know what you were talking about, because I like to get opinions from different people. That's all.
Okay, but you understand with the relationship between Doug Christie and Mike Bibby.
Yeah, that's why I would like to ask him, because he would know. He's right,
But
like,
do you understand the flip side of that? How that could be very disrespectful. You can ask him on your own time. We're not asking that question.
Okay.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I didn't see a problem with it, because it's just nothing disrespectful. It's just a problem that seems to be occurring, and I want to fix it. I'm not saying Doug's a bad guy or anything, or bad coach. I'm not knocking him. But if there's a fallacy here, and we keep seeing it happen over and over and over, and that was their game plan right away, Rhino. I know you saw it too last night. They went to that right away. Don't bring Domas out, switch him, attack. Bring Domas out, switch him, attack. It's like, it's just a one-on-one recipe for the Kings formula. And I seen that, and I just trying to think of how to get out of that situation.
Well, the person on the ball has to. Domas is already at a disadvantage when he's getting that switch, because the person on the ball is already beat. So that's where it starts. Now, I'm not saying Domas doesn't have room for improvement. He does, but it starts with who is on the ball. That guy is already downhill and past the Kings' initial defense, and now Domas has to make up for that many times on a quicker player than him. The problem with, and this is exactly what I was going to get to end the show, with the 80% number that Doug wants with pickups, you have very minimal switchability with this starting lineup. Minimal. You can switch Dennis and you can switch Keegan with each other. Other than that, it's really hard to do switches with DeMar, Zach, and Domas. It's difficult. You're putting them in. You're putting them a little bit behind the 8 ball. That's why that first line of defense is so important. That's why when we've seen the Kings have success defensively, it's when those guys are out there on the perimeter and defending well, because then you don't have that. Domas isn't having to already be 2 steps behind, or DeMar doesn't have to be 2 steps behind, because what happens then? Somebody else has to step up, and now you've got somebody wide open for a 3. So I get why you want to ask a head coach. I'm just telling you, with the dynamic there, and especially somebody that's a head coach in Sacramento at the college level, for us to ask that question of Doug, it's throwing Doug under the bus to a degree.
I did not even look at it like that. I'm just looking at it as a play that continuously happens. Not trying to throw Doug on the bus or anything like that, but it's just a play that I've seen by other teams use it against us repeatedly, and I know that's why fans want to knock Sabonis, because he doesn't have the recovery speed to block a shot on a faster, more athletic guard, wing, center, whatever.
I hear you. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate the explanation. I appreciate you.
Hey, you have a good day.
All right, dude.
Go knock it out in practice, brother. Later.
Appreciate you. All right. I see where Dennis is coming from, and I hope you all know where I am coming from as well. We're doing grades. Okay. doing grades. Let you guys get to your grades. All right. I need to get to practice. But good news is we'll have audio from practice. Kings will be taking off to Portland after practice concludes. Game 2 tomorrow night of the preseason, Kings and the Blazers. I saw some people asking questions about how to watch the games. The only way to watch is League Pass. You have to go to the Kings website. So if you go to the Kings website, you can, I believe, log in. I don't know if it's your kings.com login or if it's through the third party they're using to host the game on the website, but it has a geo tracker, and I believe it's anybody within 100 miles of the Golden One Center can watch it on kings.com. Now, some of the games I haven't looked, they might be televised via NBA TV or ESPN2 if they're getting some coverage. Peacock has been picking up some preseason games already, but that is the easiest way. Also, a lot of times this time of the year, NBA.com will offer League Pass for 2 weeks for free. So if you've never taken them up on that, maybe do that. It's a good way to get through the preseason and then cancel your subscription. I would say get used to it because it's the way this is going. Not so much watching games on kings.com, but we are headed sooner probably rather than later to a place where there is going to be a paywall for us to get 82 Kings games a year, even if you are in Sacramento. So, all right, we will get out. We've got a lot to talk about today when we get to Fox Sports. Y'all going to join us 3:00? Lob us a call today. We would like to get your takes on what you saw last night. We'll play audio again from practice. And we also have Chris Landry coming on to talk college and NFL football. Looking forward to that. Grant Napier Show, 3 to 6 p.m., Fox Sports Radio. It also streams to Fox Sports' KSAC's YouTube channel. No video, but you can catch the audio there. Easiest way, though, to listen to the show. Download the Fox Sports app, Fox Sports KSAC app. No geo boundaries. You can listen anywhere when we are live. And if you can't listen live, you can always catch the replay, which will either live or does live on YouTube, or you can catch it. We are uploading it temporarily to Grant's podcast platform. If you don't like that, that will be changing here in the couple weeks as Fox is rolling out a company-wide new podcast host that we're going to all be moving over to. So it doesn't change anything for you. You're not going to go have to find Grant Napier or the King's Court podcast in a different location. You will just now have a Fox Sports Sacramento podcast channel, which Grant's show will upload to. And by the way, we are already talking about adding some additional content. And I want to address this one last time. By the way, the app is available for free in the Google Play and Apple stores. We know, we've recognized, we've gotten some feedback about the phone lines. We do believe that that problem has been resolved. So any of you that have called before or call regularly, sometimes people say they hear a little bit of an echo. That has been resolved. So if that has been a reason that you have not called back, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 916-779-0929. You can also text the show as well. A lot of people doing that. So, all right, I'm off to practice. I believe you will have Grant tonight, open forum after Thursday night football. Can't stand these divisional matchups on Thursday nights, especially when you had so many week one. And man, is there anything that goes quicker than the NFL season? It flies by to me. It's like, what? We're already in week 5? Whoa, what happened? No, week 6. Holy bleep. Anyways, Grant will be here after Thursday night football. Giants and the Eagles playing on a short week. But again, before that, Fox Sports, 3 o'clock. Be there, taking your calls. Give us your reaction to the first preseason game. Grant and I will be breaking it down, and also looking forward to seeing and passing along what the coaches and players saw after watching film this morning. Go Kings, light the beam. Appreciate all of you for being here. See you at 3 o'clock on Fox Sports Sacramento. Until then, court is dismissed.
Order in the court.